Well, hello and welcome. We are so excited that you're here. We're going to be diving into why diets fail.
Yes.
And we are continuing the conversation from our
Yes.
last week, where we talked about important things of making our journey to losing weight about our lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, not about the weight loss. And so
Right.
definitely dive in there. And in case we haven't met, I'm Katrina.
And I'm Chris.
And we're so delighted you're here for yet another edition of Why Diets Don't Work. And today we're talking about diets don't work if all we do is focus on the diet.
Does that make sense?
I know. That doesn't make sense, does
No.
it? I know. If you just focus on diet, if you just focus on what you eat, you are missing out on
But what about exercise?
Well, sometimes people do focus on just
Right.
diet and exercise. But did you know that there are actually 5 other components of our healthy habits that we must establish in our life for us to truly become healthy and free? We're going to be diving into that because if you fail to focus on some of these other critical habits in your life, then you are missing the powerhouse of these healthy habits that are going to help you to actually achieve your goals for your health and for your life. These are so vitally important. So we're going to dive into them. So first of all, what you must realize is that it's not just about diet. It's not just about exercise.
Right.
But the thing is that we are, as a culture, so
Yeah.
food focused.
Well, that's just what we've always been taught.
We've always been taught about food. And we have almost made it an idol. And
Yeah.
it's a hard balance because, we do have to
We do have to eat at
several
least
times a day.
3 times a
3
day,
times,
maybe more.
Maybe more times a day.
And a lot of our social gatherings revolve around food and just,
Yes.
and which is a great thing. I mean, but I sometimes feel like we might overemphasize the food portion.
We do. Like, for example,
yeah.
you were just at a church retreat.
Right. Yes.
Over the weekend.
And probably 95% of the small talk was all based around food. It was all
Yeah.
based around what restaurants, where we've traveled, and what we ate during what we traveled wasn't even really what we saw during the traveling. It was more like what we ate during the traveling.
So were most of the foods healthy or
No,
not so
I
much?
would not say that they would be on God's glorious foods list.
Yes.
Most of them, no.
And my father just went on a men's
Mm-hmm.
retreat last weekend as well. And he said that the topic revolved around sports and brisket.
And brisket.
And so,
Yes.
and not that there's anything wrong
No,
with brisket,
I eat
but
brisket.
we talk
Yeah.
about, for it to be talked about, continuously.
constantly, yes.
This is the thing, is that food can be such a hot topic. And when it comes to our desire to lose weight or desire to get healthy, we usually go all in on food.
Right.
And so often, whether somebody is a student of mine or not, I will usually hear, Katrina, I am doing everything right, but I'm not seeing results. And so here's the thing, with those that ask me that question, I have to start asking additional questions. And I have to start saying, well, how's your sleep? Are you moving throughout your day? How is your relationship with God? Oh, now we got to talk about stress. How's the stress in our life?
Yeah.
Because these are the 7 habits of a healthy for life that we're going to be talking about. Chris is going to be putting up our body, mind, spirit framework. So this pyramid is our signature pyramid on how we view health. And when I sat down several years ago to determine what are the most important critical things that we must focus on in our life, these 7 habits are it. They are built upon our spirit, our mind, and our body. If you see at the bottom, we have our habit of worship, we have our habit of rest, our habit of hydrate, so drinking pure water, our habit of sleep, our habit of movement, our habit of eating, and our habit of exercising. Now, here's the key. Which one is the biggest habit on here? Which one has the biggest mass on this triangle?
It's not the one that's necessarily on the top.
It's not necessarily
So
the one on the
it's
top.
mostly the one that's
right.
the biggest.
Worship is our spiritual habit where it is our foundation of our health. If our spiritual health is not healthy, nothing else will be. Everything relies on our spiritual health. Nothing else matters. And the same goes with rest. Rest is our next one. It goes with our mind. This is where we combat stress, is through rest. Listen, we were made to worship and we were made to rest. God has given us instructions to rest and tells us to throughout Scripture.
Right. But our society almost feels like we were meant to stress.
We were meant to stress,
especially
absolutely.
with what we've been going through
Definitely
lately. Yeah.
in our country. And then we have our body who only can sit on top of a healthy mind and spirit. And did you know that there's 5 components of our body? Not just exercise,
Yes.
not just food. So we have to make sure that we are drinking our water every day, sleeping, moving, eating, and exercising. But here's the issue, is that so often, I know in our life,
Yeah.
and maybe in yours as well, if you're anything like us, you've had your pyramid upside down. So this is how you might have been spending the last decades of your life in trying to get healthy and free. And this is the wrong approach. We really need to turn our pyramids upside, right side up.
Right side up,
Right
like
side
that.
up. Just like that. So what we need to understand is that it's not just about food. We must develop the habits of a healthy, free life. And so what does worship look like? Let's talk about worship. Worship looks like, just our continually walking step by step with the Lord, where you seek to worship him throughout your day. Whether you eat or live or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. This is what we were made for.
Becoming disciples.
Becoming disciples and learning to love him. And so this is a critical habit to have in our life, is worship. Whether we pray, whether we listen to praise and music, whether we read his word, whether we fold laundry and think on him, we want to delight in the Lord, and we want to do it throughout our day. This is going to help us in whatever we are seeking to accomplish in our life. When our spiritual health is intact, so will everything else. Then we have rest. Again, rest. We want to have rest throughout our day. And I don't know about you, but rest is really hard.
It's hard for me too.
I was actually just reading in Isaiah today about the Sabbath, and once again, the importance of the Sabbath. And, there were just some clear commands, like if you're not doing the Sabbath, you're not going to be happy.
Right.
And I'm definitely paraphrasing here. But Sabbath is so hard because there's part of me that's just like, well, what do you do on Sabbath?
Right.
Like, that's not the point.
Well, we're not used to being still and quiet.
I'm used to doing, but
So,
but we're human beings,
Yeah.
not human doings, right?
Ooh, I like that.
I know.
Okay.
We are human beings.
And even
we
just-
need to learn to be.
Even just the rest standpoint of just even how that affects your physical side.
Right.
Because, the way we look at how our metabolism works, we call it a stress barometer. So if we're not resting and not giving that part of our system time, like that part of our nervous system is called the rest and digest part of your nervous system. If you're just constantly going in the fight or flight system like we always are, we're going to be out of balance.
Yeah.
And then we wonder maybe why we're not maybe even seeing our physical results. And
Right.
nobody talks about the fact that maybe an extra hour of sleep might be better than getting on the treadmill and running.
Yeah, absolutely. And because here's the reality is that no matter if you're trying to diet or if you're trying to diet and exercise and you have stress that is continuously wreaking havoc on your life, stress kills your results every time. So I want to ask you, do you have some stress in your life? So yes or no, or thumbs up, like could you deal with would you like a little less stress in your life?
A little less.
A little less
I would
stress.
assume.
Listen, we can't get rid of all the stress in our life, but we can mitigate its effect on our body. And this is where resting throughout our day is going to be vitally important. And so this month inside our Healthy Free Life Academy, we are actually focusing on the habit of rest this month. So every month we focus on a different habit, and this month is all about rest. And so this one is always a struggle for me to deal with. But I've now begun to, I've started reading again.
Yeah, you
reading
have.
a fiction book. And not always nonfiction, because that's usually what I'll read, is because I'm always trying to educate myself.
Try to learn something.
But a nonfiction book, and it's just been like, wow, this is amazing. And I feel so much more rested in the evening. I then go into sleep. Sleep is vitally important, and so hydration is as well. Because let's talk about hydration first. That was the next one on the pyramid there.
Go back to the pyramid.
But hydration, like we're 75% water. If we're not, and our body is needing water for just about every process in our body. If we do not have enough water, we will become toxic. We will become sluggish. Our skin will become like dry. We'll look and feel, and I'll have brain fog. Like
Headaches.
Hydration is so vitally important. The next one is sleep. Y'all, this is a hard one, right? So either one, we have trouble sleeping, or two, we just don't want to sleep. We don't want to give up on that nighttime, especially as when I was a younger mother, it was just like finally when you get the kids to bed, it's like, oh, now it's mama time.
Right.
And then if you wait long enough, like that 11 o'clock time frame comes on and you get a little boost of energy.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I just want to stay up, and I'd stay up till like 1:00 in the morning, just to have some me time. Right? Or I was a nighttime nurse, and I got very little sleep. I mean, there's just been all sorts of seasons in our life when it comes to sleep. And so whatever it is for you, sleep is so vitally important. And we really want to strive to seek to get deep restorative sleep. And we ideally, minimum of 7 hours of sleep, but really 8 to 9 is really ideal. And especially for women.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, and especially with women, especially depending on your age too.
Postmenopausal women especially must prioritize their
more
sleep.
Important. Yeah, because when you think about it, even when you focus on exercise, when you're doing exercise, you're actually tearing down muscle. You don't really think about that, but you're actually breaking muscle down while you're exercising. And then when you sleep is when your body has the ability to recover. And on off days is when you have the ability to recover.
That's right.
So if you don't give your body that chance, you're not actually getting the most out of even your exercise that you're doing, because you're not giving your body to have that time to build yourself back up stronger.
Right, exactly. Sleep is so vitally important. So much is restored while we sleep. Hormones are rebooted.
Yeah.
Everything is, you detoxify. So many things happen in the middle of the night. It's so vitally critical. The next is movement. So movement is different than exercise. We're not going to go into those details here, but we've got to move our bodies throughout the day. It's not just about exercise, because so often we'll just if I do exercise, it's just the 15, 30 minutes.
Yeah, well, the basic concept is you can't just go to the gym for 30 minutes, 3 to 4 days a week. And that's, the population that's probably doing exercise well, and then just sit for the rest of the hours.
Right.
You're only, I think they said, only 4% better than if you don't exercise at all.
Yes.
There's actually a lot of studies that show that you get a better hormonal response if you just keep your body moving all day than if you would exercise and then just sit all day.
And then eating. So finally, getting towards the top, now we need to focus on food. It's not that food and exercise are not important.
No.
They are. We talk a lot I have an entire course just on food. I deep dive into food, and we talk about it. I love food.
We talk about food a lot, but from a different perspective,
right.
But we do talk about food.
Yeah, and so food is definitely important, and it's a critical component to our health, because we must begin to eliminate the harmful foods in our life in order to see the results of a healthy body and weight loss, or whatever it is we're trying to do, ditch disease, conquer cravings, just feel amazing. We do need to address food. That definitely is something. And then obviously exercise. Yeah. In fact, we just released a podcast yesterday on exercise. So we talked about what? The three mistakes to avoid when exercising. And so often these are mistakes that we've made perhaps for decades, and the myths that we've believed from the 80s and 90s. Yep. And so Chris and I deep dive into them, and Chris shares a lot about how we should be doing exercise. Because I don't know if you guys know, but Chris is our resident physical therapist and strength coach. He leads our movement and exercise components of our programs, and he is also the creator of our metabolic workout videos. And so you create very specific videos that are going to actually get us the results that we're after in a very short amount of time. 15 minutes 3 times a week is all it takes. Exercise is important, but you talk about in the workout where it's not always the most important thing, especially if we have some unhealthy things happening below. Like if we got tons of stress and we're not sleeping, we probably shouldn't be exercising.
Well, yeah, because then exercise is going to be deemed even an additional stress on top of it. It's a good stress, but at some point it can tip the scales, and now you're not balancing out those systems.
Right.
And you're pushing it beyond. And then that's when, like for me, that in my life, I've had multiple times where I've kind of almost broken the system.
Right. Again, it's not that we shouldn't exercise. It's just that. Where does exercise fit in a healthy lifestyle?
Just
we dive into that.
Correctly.
It's podcast number 25. Definitely go and check that out on the Healthy Free Life show. Wherever you like to listen to that, definitely go check that out. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. And then you can also check it out on our website at healthyfreelife.com/25 to go to that specific episode. So definitely check that out. So listen, we've dived in today to the 7 habits of a healthy free life. Okay. Now, I would love to know in the comments, which area here is your strongest? So if you were to say which, like, you're strong in this area, that it's healthy, like on a scale of 1 to 10, this area is, maybe a 7 or 8, maybe even a 9, what would it be? Would it be worship, rest, hydration, sleep, movement, eat, and exercise? Which is your strongest? I would love to know. But then, like I'd also love to know what your weakest one is.
I had a feeling you might be asking that. Yeah.
Yeah. So let us know that first. But then what is your weakest? Because I really want you to recognize that even I have a weakest one. If I were to look at this, which is my weakest one? Exercise is my personal weakest one. What is your weakest one?
Probably either rest or hydrate.
Rest or hydrate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, these are things that we just got to look at. Chris and I are not sitting here perfect on the other side of this. We don't have it all figured out where we've reached the pinnacle of all of these healthy habits.
We all have a lean. I mean, we all, especially just with our upbringing. You bend towards
exercise. It's
yeah, just because my upbringing, it's just kind of ingrained in me. It doesn't take a whole lot to get me to get motivated to work out. But it, for some reason, I never really grew up drinking a whole lot of water.
Right, exactly.
So it's always a constant struggle.
So Pam says her hydration's a 10. Arlene says rest. So yeah, I mean, definitely let us know in the comments. We'd love to come in and check those out because we want to definitely begin to focus on these healthy habits. And if you would love this pyramid, by the way, definitely we include this in much more detail inside our Healthy Free Life Starter Kit. It's our free kit to help you get started on your healthy free life. And so you could go to kit.healthyfreelife.com to check that out. Again, that's kit.healthyfreelife.com to request our kit. You'll have that pyramid in there along with our goals for a healthy free life, but then so much more, so many other resources like our food listing, because food is important. And so I give you our glorious food listing along with your first steps to get started, including a 7-day devotional and so much more. So definitely go and check that out. So, all right, I'll just do a couple more here. Sylvia says exercise. Dee Dee says exercise. Arlene says exercise. I assume these are the weakest links, right? Girls, you are not alone. This is why we have Chris here to help us. He is our biggest cheerleader when it comes to helping us to move our bodies in the right way. And so this is why I love having you here. On with us. And so Brenda says, hydrate is my worst, about a 6, and doing exercise is now a 10. Nice, so congratulations, Brenda. So you know where to focus for sure, which is great. We have Hydrate as our upcoming.
She's an Academy member, so
I know Hydrate is our
doing the right thing too.
That's right. Hydrate is our habit next month.
Oh, look at that. That works well for Brenda.
Yes, so we'll be working on making sure that hydration is an important, strong habit in our life. When these habits are working together and they are habits that serve you and they are actually enjoyable and you don't actually have to be doing hard things like dieting and like 60-minute exercise videos and things like that. So these definitely work in our favor. All right. It has been a joy to be here with you. We plan to be back here next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We'd love for you to put us on your calendar and come show up so we can continue the conversation, helping you to live a healthy, free life. Until next time, bye for now.